let's keep talking about Wayne Root, all right? He put out this Trump comeback, all right? Let's talk about it. This is coming out of the Gateway Pundit, Wayne Root. The Trump comeback begins. The plan to make Trump and America great again. This was February 1st, came out by Wayne Allen Root. And these are his words. All right, folks, if you're new here, on a lot of these podcasts, we'll read through these articles. We'll discuss them either mid-article or afterwards. We try to have a pretty good time, so don't give up too early. Things do get interesting, and we do end up going down some pretty wondrous rabbit holes. I'm the author of the best-selling book, Trump Rules. My book identifies the top 10 rules, Trump rules, that made him one of the greatest winners in world history in business, branding, real estate, celebrity, television, publishing, and politics. Trump is the only person in the world to reach the pinnacle, all right, in world history, to reach the pinnacle of all of those fields we just mentioned, all right? We mentioned business, branding, real estate, celebrity, television, publishing, politics, reaching the pinnacle, all right? In one lifetime, folks, the only person to do that, becoming both a billionaire, becoming the president of the United States, all right? It's not a bad resume. For as much as they talk about the guy, really, you have to admit it isn't a bad resume. I mean, come on. Many critics think Trump's winning streak ended with a presidential loss. I disagree. I know the man. I understand the man. I understand and know what comes next. It may be Trump's greatest chapter yet. And you know, guys, I tend to agree with Wayne Root here. I think that Trump and the way that he thinks, the way that he operates, I tend to believe that this is only going to embolden him, empower him, make him arise from the ashes like a phoenix and lay waste hellfire and brimstone to the opposition. Folks, it seems that you never want to count Trump out, and I believe the left may have created a monster. We'll have to see. It'll be our monster, though. It'll be a good monster. I'm not too worried about that. Simply because Trump is relentless. He may be the most relentless human in world history. The secret to Trump's success is the art of the comeback. Every time he is given up for dead, he makes the biggest comeback yet. He never gives up. He never gives in. He finds a way to turn lemons into lemonade. You can't beat someone like that. You can't bet against someone like that. As I always say, NBAT. Never bet against Trump. Those are strong words, folks. Before I get into the details of the comeback, let's define winning. Trump's critics think he just lost. Therefore, he's no longer a winner. Not true. Back in 2016, Trump won the biggest upset in political history. This time around, he added 11 million new votes. His 74 million votes were the most votes for any incumbent president in American history. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump also received more votes than any Republican in the history of our country. Sorry, Trump haters, that's called a winning at superhuman levels. And that is something I have noticed. Haven't you guys noticed that most of the people that hate on Trump haven't ever won anything themselves? I noticed that most of the people bitching and moaning to me about what a piece of crap I am because I'm a Trump supporter look like they haven't left their mama's basement. And that is a very kind way for me to say it. That is an understatement, as they would say, folks. Nonetheless, we're reading again. Trump lost on paper and Biden won. Democrats, rhinos, and the fake news media all believe Trump is finished. So now it's time for the greatest comeback in history for Trump and for America. So here's my game plan for how Trump can make Trump and America great again. This is Wayne Root's game plan, and I like a lot of this, folks. We're going to talk about certain parts of it as they come up. All right, folks, let's go. First, Trump must become the kingmaker. of the GOP. The Trump army is 74 million people strong. And folks, I would beg to say it's bigger than that. The Republican Party belongs to Trump. He should remake the party in his image. In some ways, his defeat was empowering. As president, Trump couldn't get rid of the rhinos and never Trumpers because he needed their votes. But from the outside, he can remake the party, elect Trump allies, and end the careers of the GOP traitors who stabbed him in the back. Are you listening, Liz Cheney? And I really enjoyed seeing Matt Gaetz in Wyoming protesting Liz Cheney. One thing I will say about this, when you look at the different people, right, that make up the Republican Party, it wouldn't be too difficult to do this. It wouldn't be too hard to vote out the people who backstabbed Trump. It wouldn't be too difficult for Trump to remake the party in his image. So I almost have an image like the genie from Aladdin, like Robin Williams as the blue genie being freed, and that freedom could make him more powerful than ever. It probably has nothing to do with the movie, but that's just how I imagine I remember it. Is what it is. You're going to have to make that make sense in your own head. Quote, Trump should recruit, not necessarily quote, just saying quote because I'm reading again, should recruit, endorse, and campaign for Trump Republicans in each GOP primary against rhinos, never Trumpers, and backstabbers. 74 million Trump voters will vote for Trump's chosen candidates in GOP primaries, and by 2022, the GOP could be made 100% remade over in Trump's image. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a big statement, but nothing is out of the realm of possibility. It really isn't if we all work together. We're seeing that with how the little guy can just attack Wall Street the way it's doing so, the big hedge funds and those who don't want us coming into their world. If we can affect them there, we can affect them anywhere. We can do our jobs, come out to the polls and elect the right people and put them in the right place. Secondly, Trump should spend the next 4 years fixing voter fraud at the state level. Trump should recruit his billionaire buddies to put up hundreds of millions to attack the problem. Trump's goal should be to reform election law in just the handful of states that cost him the election: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. Folks, would I also say that maybe you would have some mobile units in that area, some mobile folks that could keep an eye on what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, just having some of his billionaire buddies put up hundreds and millions to attack the problems, and just having them reforming the different election law in the handful of states that Trump lost due to the leftist cheating. Folks, I don't think that's enough. I think the left would try to counter that. All right, think about this, and go through a state we wouldn't expect, right? And then that state would then come out of the blue and sucker punch us at the last minute, trying to steal the next election. I don't think that would be a very good thing. And I think that that's a possibility, ladies and gentlemen. If Trump spends his time, money, and focus on reforming election laws in those 6 states, the GOP is back in business in 2022 and 2024. And I invite somebody to test what I am thinking would work as an actual test for this. Thirdly, Trump needs to raise billions from his billionaire backers to build TMN, Trump Media Network. That should include a national cable TV network, national talk radio network, new versions of the Drudge Report, possibly called the Trump Report, and conservative versions of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Conservatives will never again have to depend on the mainstream media or Silicon Valley to get our news and opinions out. And if Trump does that, I'm actually okay with that, because then maybe we'll get lucky enough to partner with TMN as a sponsor. That would help really fund things here at the American Reveille. Right, Craig? Sheesh. Only Trump has the money brand and fundraising ability to change the media and social media landscape like this. And think of the amazing bonus. Not only will 74 million Trump voters have permanent places to communicate, but if we all move away from the mainstream media and social media, they'll collapse. Trump will cripple his enemies and put many of them out of business. That is a possibility. Lastly, here's one more idea for Trump. Run for Congress in 2022. That's actually pretty interesting. We should look that up. If anybody wants to look it up, let me know if anybody's been the president and then later came back and been a senator or a congressman. That's kind of interesting. So he's saying that Trump should run for Congress in 2022. Pick any GOP-friendly district in Florida where you're loved. Primary a rhino who stabbed you in the back. You'll win the primary by a landslide since it's a GOP district. You're guaranteed victory in the general election. Once in Congress, with the GOP regaining control in 2022 and most of the candidates loyal to you, you'll be elected Speaker of the House. From that platform, Trump can lead the impeachment of President Biden. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? I'm just saying. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, all right? I don't want you to think that I'm endorsing this, that I'm saying that this is what it is, but I'll tell you, it's hilarious. It really is. If Trump somehow became the Speaker of the House of Representatives and then was in charge of the impeachment proceedings for Joe Biden, that would be so funny, ladies and gentlemen. It would be so funny. And because I'm reading this article that Wayne Root wrote, I feel that it's only respectful to read this last part here that he has down at the bottom. Wayne Allen Root is known as the conservative warrior. Wayne is the author of the new #1 national best-selling book, Trump Rules. Wayne is a CEO, entrepreneur, and host of the nationally syndicated War Raw podcast. Visit rootforamerica.com or listen live at http://usaradio.com/Wayne-Allen-Root/ or on demand 24/7 at iHeartRadio.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I like that idea. I like the idea of Trump starting a news network. I like the idea of him running for Congress. I think anything to really piss off and frustrate the left and make it more difficult for them to achieve their evil plans of world domination, basically, I'm for. So whatever plan, the better plan. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Trump could pull any of those off. I really do. I do think he's going to build a company of sorts. I know he's already built these nonprofits, or he's in the process of building these nonprofits. He's already not coming out and saying he's going to go into some quiet seclusion or anything. No, Trump is here to stay. He's going to be loud. He's going to be proud, and he's going to still rattle cages all over the place. That is what it is, plain and simple, folks. Plain and simple. But you know, Donald Trump woke us up, and one thing people are neglecting to see is that the Trumpism, the MAGA virus, if you will, is still spreading. All right, folks, people are still waking up all over the place. So just give it a chance. All right, be ready, because people are seeing more and more the truth, especially with everything we've seen on Wall Street, everything we've seen in the news, finding out how corrupt and crooked most news outlets are. I mean, folks, something big is on the way. What else could I say? It feels like it, doesn't it? Am I wrong? Think about that. Think about how you feel deep inside and tell me, don't you feel like something big is coming? I'm not saying that it has to be something violent or something horrible like that. I'm just saying it's something big. I don't think history is done happening. All right, folks. So we're just going to have to wait it out and see what unfolds as time goes by. And look, all right, head to the website, www.americanreveille.com. Do me this favor, all right? Hit it up hit it up, hit it up, hit it up. If you loved this podcast, if you like what we're doing and you feel like supporting us, hit the support us tab. We take Bitcoin. You can go on PayPal. We take any amount of donation. We appreciate it greatly. Guys, it really helps. It goes a huge way while we're fighting off this censorship. We have some new articles tracing the real pandemic. It's fantastic. And also Andrew Penn put out Joe Biden's America Last Agenda, a great one as well. I have another article coming out tonight too. Folks, sign up for the mailing list. Please, please, please. You don't want to lose touch with what we are doing across this country. And please contact us. If you have any feedback, if there's anything you'd like to ask me, if there's any way you believe you can contribute with any of your skill sets, or if you'd like to start building up an American Reveille street team in your neighborhood, please let me know. James Lane at AmericanReveille.com, James Lane at AmericanReveille.com, or you can hit the contact button or go to AmericanReveille.com and then hit the contact button. Folks, we're still on YouTube, so if that's where you're watching us, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, share. But they are shadow banning us. That's why you'll notice that we were getting thousands of views, and now all of a sudden we're barely getting any. That's called shadow banned, all right? So we're moving a lot of our stuff to Odyssey. This is a great platform, ODYSEE.com, all right? Most of my videos are up there. Most of them are up there. And I like them. I think they're a great platform. They're easy to use. It feels like YouTube. So it could be our version of YouTube. Try it out. ODYSEE.com. I'm there as American_Reveille. Of course, the links will be in the description below. And of course, I'm on Rumble, guys. I am on Rumble as well. Head over to rumble.com. Find me American_Reveille. I'm in the comment section below, or I'm in the description section. You can find the link there. Head over here, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I need all the support I can get. We are having a very big hit to our distribution. People are not seeing what we're putting out because they killed Parler. And like I told you in the podcast episode, we don't even know if Parler is coming back. So we got to start from scratch. So I need your help, folks. Please help. All right. We can do this together. We really, really can. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, guys, 5-star rating, leave a review, please. Please, please, please. That's a big deal. Subscribe there. Follow me there. Share. If you are an audio listener, I am on most platforms. American Reveille podcast on most platforms, folks. If you're a listener and you know people who like AM radio and different things like that, tell them about the American Reveille, please. I need your help, and I'm depending on you to really spread the word. All right. We're doing everything we can. You know that I barely sleep and eat. I'm putting it out. I'm putting the hours in, folks, for you, for me, for everybody, folks. So I appreciate it. I thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I will see you in the next segment. Bye.